What's up guys? Now I just want to say before this video starts that this isn't a 100% review. You'll find out towards the end why. But today we're going to be checking out the Arcam AV40 surround sound processor. Before we get into it, if you're new to the channel and enjoy audio and video gear or like watching movies, then be sure you tap that subscribe button for new weekly videos. Now in case you missed it, let's check out the unboxing. Inside, we get one of the biggest manuals I've ever seen. It's like a dictionary. Inside this long bag, we get the power cable, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas, a calibration mic, the remote control, which looks very much like the audio controls, antenna and batteries, and a USB cable. Taking a closer look up front, we have two 3.5mm jacks for headphones and an auxiliary in. There's a few direct access buttons along the bottom with the volume knob on the left. And yes, the volume knob is made out of plastic. On the right side is the power button with the LCD display in the center. Around back is an Ethernet input, a USB input used for updates, unbalanced RCA pre-outs for all 16 channels and Zone 2, some standard RCA ins, 7 HDMI inputs with eARC support, and 3 HDMI outs. There's 6 digital inputs with 1 output and a few triggers. There's an RS-232 for custom installs, and of course there's balanced XLR outputs for all 16 channels. The cool thing this year is that channels 13 through 16 are assignable, so you could have 4 separate subwoofers that are independent of each other. The AV40 is supposed to get the newest version of DIRAC room correction, which will allow each subwoofer to be independently calibrated. Last year's models, the subwoofers acted as a single output rather than separate ones. Other features are Apple's AirPlay 2 and Google Chromecast support, as well as IMAX Enhanced. The word is, Auro 3D will be coming with an update in the future as well. Hopefully it's a free update.
For setup, I'll be pairing the Arcam with a few Rotel amps, a Zapiti media player, and a Panasonic UB9000. My speakers are the Arendal Sound 1723 Monitor S's. I'll leave links for everything I've mentioned in the video's description. FYI, this is the LCD screen on the Arcam itself, since the on-screen menu is kinda garbage. I'll show you that in a few. First up is the input configuration. This is just the source selection, which you can rename if you wish. There's sync adjustments and the default surround mode per inputs. Here's some basic bass and treble controls. And here's where you can select your calibration profile once you've run DIRAC. You do get 3 open slots for 3 different settings here. Here's the stereo mode with a few options. And yes, this does support IMAX Enhanced now with the latest firmware. I'm gonna skim through some of the basic stuff, so just hit the pause button if you need to see something. Under speaker type is where you're going to change your crossovers. It's from 40 to 200 Hz, or you can just run them as large. They are also paired into groups and not as individual channels. For channels 13 through 16, you can assign these as your front or rear subwoofers, and they are supposed to be independent of one another. Here you can change the front speaker distance, and you can adjust your levels here as well. The rest of these are just some general settings, so I'm just gonna let it run through. Real quick now, this is the on-screen menu. It's
literally
just 2 lines of text. It's a bit of a guessing game if you're not familiar with the menu structure. There is a workaround though. If you open up Chrome and type in the Arcam's IP address, you can access the web UI. Here you can change all the settings. The one issue that I had was after running DIRAC room correction, the web UI does not recognize that you've uploaded the settings, so you will have to select the EQ settings directly on the Arcam itself.
Normally I would give a little speech about how the processor sounds, etc., but at this point in time, I feel it would be unfair. Now, when I spoke about the performance when I first got it, I said that it sounded terrible. This was on firmware 0.89. When I had first hooked it up, all I heard was these little weird pops and hissing and all kinds of other stuff coming from the surround channels. I thought my amps were messed up or something because I've never heard these sounds before. There were other issues like lip sync issues, test tones not working, sound dropping out, and of course, there was no DIRAC room correction, Auro 3D, or IMAX Enhanced out of the box, even though it was advertised. I think it was 2 weeks later firmware 99 dropped, and for me, it fixed all the popping and hissing coming from all the speakers. The noise floor was as good as any other processors that I've had, and DIRAC wasn't added yet, but they did add IMAX Enhanced. As for IMAX Enhanced viewing, I ended up watching Zombieland 2 and Angry Birds 2, which are both IMAX Enhanced certified. And when I compared them back and forth between straight DTSX, I thought the IMAX Enhanced version was noticeably quieter and lacked any of that kind of low-end impact. The DTSX version was much more dynamic, and it was clearly louder. I thought IMAX Enhanced was supposed to be more forceful sounding, but that wasn't the experience I got with the Arcam. Well, as of now, at the time of this video, the AV40 is on firmware 1.04, which is the latest for now. First thing I noticed right off the bat was the hissing came back. No popping, just the hissing. This is what it sounds like. That's unacceptable, and I can hear it from every seat in the theater. On a positive note, maybe, they did activate DIRAC room correction. Only problem is that it's a bit finicky. If you're trying to run the test tones, it always wants to come out of the left channel. You'll either have to click stop and restart it, or click to a different channel and try to go back to the one you want to measure, and hopefully it starts working properly. After getting all the measurements done and uploading it to the Arcam, I did sit back to watch a few clips. Now, I've had other processors here with DIRAC, and they easily were the best sounding pre-pros I've had in here. For whatever reason, after running DIRAC on the Arcam, I got a very subdued surround sound effect for my lower and my high channels. When I turned DIRAC off, the surround sound effects just came to life. I would say what I heard was very reminiscent of what Odyssey does. Now this is in my room, so your room might be different. One good thing was that the front soundstage was definitely improved, and dialogue was more focused, and there seemed to be more weight coming from the center channel. Needless to say, I wasn't impressed overall with DIRAC. Now I did go back to check the measurements, and DIRAC measures distance in milliseconds. But when I turned EQ off and went back and checked the distance settings again, I noticed all my speakers were like 5 times the distance they are physically. I'm not sure why that is, but I guess that's why my surround channels are kinda dead sounding. Alright, with that being said, with DIRAC off and manually adjusting speaker levels and distance, the Arcam sounds pretty good. Sound movement was good, and I was able to hear surround sound effects above me and around me moving all around space, and it was perfectly okay. I mean, there was still that hiss, but you won't hear it when you're watching something. Back to DIRAC real quick. Even though it is working, I guess there still isn't support for multi-sub calibration just yet. It's only going to calibrate one sub. And when the multi-sub calibration does come out, I think there is going to be like a $100 fee for it. Another issue I had was audio being out of sync. I don't believe I noticed this with Blu-rays, but I did notice it when I was watching Apple TV. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I find that if I switch to a different input and go back or restart what I was watching, then it would go back to normal. I know there are some other issues that subscribers have pointed out to me that I haven't experienced, but there does seem to be a bunch of other issues that are floating about. I'd say just email or call Arcam's technical support and let them know what's going on with your system. They seem to be pretty good at listening to feedback. Well, that's all I've got. I will say that I was really looking forward to having this in my system. I've only heard great things about Arcam products, and I was expecting to be blown away. That wasn't the case. If anything, I know Arcam has been dropping new updates consistently, so I'm being positive in thinking that all of this will be resolved very soon. In the meantime, this is coming out of my audio rack, and the Emotiva is going back in. So tell me what your experience has been with these new Arcam products. Are you having the same issues that I've had, or are you having none? Also, how do you think they sound? Leave a comment and let us know. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you want to keep up with the channel and find out what's coming up, then be sure to follow us on social media. If you want to drop by our Patreon page, you can find great deals on used equipment, and we're also always giving away free movies. Be sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys again in the next one.